But thanks everybody for being here. Again, my name is T. You can call me T Monster or Twitch Dad. If you got questions about anything you're seeing tonight, please don't be shy. Go ahead and ask. It's one of the things that I pride myself on at OSI, that we really promote and contribute to paranormal investigation with zero transparency. We want to be above board on all things. Now, this next half of the Grim Gazette is what I call the deep dive. And this is where we pick apart something that is going on, or we really do a heavy duty discussion about what is happening in paranormal circles. And tonight I am going very gently into this good night because I want to talk about paranormal investigating or paranormal investigators behaving badly. These are people that I respect. These are people that some I have met, and I've seen it. It was when the third thing happened that I said, okay, it's a trifecta. I have to talk about this. I have to talk about something. I'm going to talk about it tonight. So, what exactly do I mean by paranormal investigators behaving badly? What I mean is paranormal investigators that I perceive as being very much on par with what they're doing. They know how to investigate. They know the right way to approach something. But for whatever reason, whether it's for analytics, whether it is for whether it's a slip of the mind, or they're just in the moment and they're not really thinking it through, they miss a step somewhere. They miss a step somewhere. And what I've done is I've set aside 3 clips from 3 different shows, and we're going to talk about them tonight. And I'm going to talk to you about what it is that caught my eye, and we're going to look at it not necessarily with name calling. We're not going to, and here's the problem is that there's a very fine line between debunking and haters. I'm the first one to say that. There's a very fine line between debunking and haters. All right, Chris, you have a good night. Okay, have a good evening. Okay. But I'm not here to necessarily debunk, but I am here to say, take a moment, step back, and ask yourself, how could that have been handled differently? And that's what I want to make sure that the Grim Gazette is all about, is not necessarily going for the low-hanging fruit. We're actually going to talk in depth about what could have been handled differently, okay? And you'll see what I mean as we get into this. Okay, so I'm going to turn off the music for this so that we can watch the clips uninterrupted. And let's start with a group called Ghost Club Paranormal. Now, I've been watching Ghost Club Paranormal for around a year now. I think it's coming up on a year's time now. It's Jade and Mandy, and they're at the Garnett House. So this is their most recent investigation, and I'm going to come out and say this. They caught some wicked good EVPs. They caught some extremely good voices. And if you're wondering what EVP stands for, that stands for Electronic Voice Phenomenon. And that is what is picked up. You don't hear it in real time, but when you're reviewing footage, that's when you hear a voice. That's when you hear something. And they caught some pretty interesting stuff. And they also had some interesting reactions from their devices. And they were using REM pods. They were using the dead bell. I'm still kind of hot and cold about the dead bell, but I will say this. At this particular site, the Garnett House, they got some reactions from the dead bell I'd never seen before. And if you're curious what the dead bell is, it is a new device from Ghost Stop. It's more or less an EMF reader. It reads electromagnetic fields, and when it picks up a spike, that's when the bell goes off. And some of the dead bells that came off the line first from Ghost Stop, yeah, they were a little on the super sensitive side, you know, and or a hum. Okay. I was unaware of that. Now, I think they have sort of perfected the dead bell. I believe that the folks from Ghost Stop have worked out whatever kinks there were. But here's the clip that I want to have a look at from the
This is great.
investigation.
You want a hug? No hugs.
Thanks, baby. That's my wife. But here is a look at their investigation of the Garnett house. So let me just go back a step and let's just watch this and we'll play.
Talker. I didn't know it was a motion thing.
Here we go.
Oh my god, my camera didn't fucking. I don't think it cut. Oh my god.
The doll came out of the chair.
No, it fucking did not,
Yes,
dude.
it did. You're
No,
just, like,
it fucking
standing
did
there.
not. Oh my god, my camera didn't fucking. I don't think it cut. Oh my god.
Okay. So, going to back this up a little bit. We are going to slow this down too. But what happened was that Jade had just dropped off the REM pod, okay? She had just dropped off the REM pod, and then she stepped away, REM pod starts going off. She goes back towards it, and the camera was out of focus. But she was going forward anyway, and that was when the doll fell out of the chair. All right. Again, we're gonna look at this. We're gonna look at this again. I'm gonna go on ahead and go full screen, and we'll look at this one more time.
Oh my god, my camera didn't fucking. I don't think it cut. Oh my god.
The doll came out of the chair.
No, it fucking did not,
Yes,
dude.
it did. You're just,
No,
like,
it fucking
standing
did
there.
not.
Okay.
Oh my god, my camera didn't fucking. I don't think it cut. Oh my god.
The doll came.
Don't worry, we're getting there. And by the way, Valerie, hi, welcome on in. Thank you for being here tonight. We're gonna step back a bit. I'm gonna take the playback speed and I'm gonna take it down to half, and I'm gonna mute it so that we can watch this. Okay, so we go on ahead and we press play. Okay, so at this point, Jade swings around because the REM pod is going off. Okay, REM pod is going off pretty hard. And hey, thanks for that note. Bye. Okay. Bye. Oh, dude. Oh my God. Oh. Okay, we got a 3 for 1, 2. Come on, 2, and 3. All right. So she comes around, and the REM pod's going off. Now, the REM pod going off is pretty freaking, yeah, I know I'm popular now. Thank you, Drag. So the REM pod is going off pretty freaking reliably. There's nothing around it to set it off like that. And for anybody that's curious, a REM pod works like this. Okay, so let's say this candle's a REM pod. So you've got the candle, and you've got an antenna on it. The antenna, which is a lot longer, is putting out an EMF field, and something to make it go that crazy has got to be so close to the antenna, it is either brushing up against it or it's actually holding on to it. All right? You got to work faster, baby. Got to work faster. So the REM pod going off is pretty freaking spectacular. Then this happens. And again, we're watching this in half speed. Oh, and I should also point out, watch the rocking chair in the back, okay? She's trying to focus her attention on the REM pod, obviously. But the doll is here in the back. Now they're going to do a replay of this, so we're just going to let it play. And that, sadly, that is when the camera comes back into focus, and then she zooms in on it. So I'm not necessarily faulting Jade for not having the camera trained on the chair in the back. Okay? I'm not doing that at all, because she couldn't have known that that was going to happen. But I have thoughts on this. She gets closer. Okay. All right. We are going back. Oh, by the way, how you doing there, Walker? Good to see you in stream. All right, we're gonna go ahead and play it again. So right now, oh, I know you're being serious. So right now, REM pod's going off. And that is when that's when the dog comes out. Okay. So Walker believes that he believes that he sees somebody pulling on wires. And we're going to let it play again. There's no one else in this room. They did confirm that. There are only 4 people in this house. And here's my problem. It's Jade, and it is oh man, I'm blanking on her partner's name. Jade and Mandy. Okay, so Jade and Mandy are in this. They're in this house together. The 2 other guys that are there, they own the house. They own the house. There's a guy under the carpet some wires. No. It's all right. So I can understand TR. I can understand the desire to think that it is that rigged. But I don't think it's that bad. However, I'm going to go on ahead and play again. Now, what I am seeing, see if I can catch it. Okay, this right here, this that just flew in the screen. This is what people would say, oh, that's a ghost orb. No, that's dust. This is an old house. So this is dust. But this is why I'm not a big fan of ghost orbs, and why Old Spirits really doesn't put any faith in ghost orbs, because quite honestly, it's dust. Especially in a house this unkempt, it's going to be dust. And Malignant Humor, thank you very much for that. I appreciate you being here. Thank you so much. I don't think that's a wire. I don't think what we're seeing here is a wire. But I'll go back and I'll let it play uninterrupted. I think I see what you mean. Are you saying like there's a, let me see if I can catch it. I think Walker just cracked the case. Because, yeah, that was a wire. That was a wire. Going from upper right to lower left. At 20, so watch the clock at 24:48, and you'll see it there. Right there. Now, in the spirit of goodwill, I'm not going to say for sure that it's a wire. But I'm going to say that reflection looks like it could be a wire. I cannot prove it, but it does look a bit sus. Now, we'd have to, and here's where debunking videos gets very tricky, and I'm taking baby steps because, no lie, chat, these folks gifted me a sub to their channel, so I don't want to be that guy, but let's go on ahead and let's see where everybody is. All right, so first off, guy with the coat is over here. I'm not sure where the other guy is. Hold on a second. Okay, so there's the other owner of the house. You'll notice that the doll is propped up. I'm going to get to that in a second. So let's just play this, and I'm gonna keep it silent so we can focus on it. Okay, so he's standing over here. Guy with the coat is standing over here. Okay. Jade has just placed the okay, so one guy over here, one guy over here. Ooh. Okay. So okay. And that was the thing I was going to get to. So my wife has already pointed out in chat that it's one thing to do an investigation of someone's house. When they're there actively investigating with you and feeding you information throughout, that's a little sus. But where my alarm bells are going off, you noticed how the doll, before it fell over like that, they have dolls like this. They have rag dolls precariously placed on door edges, on the tops of curtains, on all this stuff. And to me, I'm like, that is a bit distracting. This is sort of inviting, oh, did you see that? The doll moved of its own accord. Gravity works in mysterious ways. Physics works in mysterious ways. Science works in mysterious ways. And quite honestly, there's a fine line between paranormal activity and dolls moving of their own accord, especially when they are balanced on edges around the entire house like this. And that reflection is awfully telling. So I feel like I'm dancing around this. But one, good catch, Walker. Good catch. And well, you go back to what TR just said. Who owns this many dolls? People who have haunted houses. This is a big thing in haunted houses. Dolls. They love doing dolls. Now, how many of them in the haunted houses are propping up these rag dolls on the edges of curtains and doors and having them stand up in rocking chairs? Not as many. So I'm calling shenanigans here because I've seen some of the earlier stuff that Ghost Club Paranormal did, and I really liked it. I liked it a lot. I had to step away from GCP because they did an investigation of a haunted house attraction. I felt that was a bit sus because I'm sitting here going, they were trying to talk about how there were certain decorations in the haunted house that were opening up portals and doing this and doing that. And I'm sitting there going, it's an attraction. It's a haunted house. It's Halloween. And I felt like they were reaching a bit. So I felt like I was taking a step back. I said, they're going in a direction I'm not crazy about. But then I started seeing some of their other stuff. And I started seeing some of their other posts on YouTube. And I said, you know what? I'm going to give these, I'm going to come back. I'm going to come back to GCP because I really like Jade. I like the way she was breaking down stuff. And I really was enjoying her approach to the paranormal. And then she partnered with Mandy. And I still thought it was good stuff. Here's why I'm not, okay. Falling prey to their own popularity. Well, I think what it was personally is that they were doing great, and they're still doing great numbers on YouTube, but it is that pressure to deliver. Now, the nice thing about YouTube is that if you don't find something, YouTube is very forgiving. They're very forgiving, but here this is a bitter pill to swallow, because the fact that there are so many rag dolls, and they're, first off, one, who puts rag dolls on top of doors? Who puts rag dolls on top of curtains? And who stands up a rag doll? Well, I mean, not so much in a rocking chair. That I can kind of see. But what I thought was dust, Walker brings up a very strong point. There is also one other problem that I have with this little moment too, is that, and I'm just going to go ahead and play it. And again, I am not going to fault Jade for not looking at the rocking chair. She could not have foreseen that happening. However, this I find a little problematic. The fact that Jade is still moving forward and the camera is out of focus. If you are doing any kind of paranormal investigation, you want to make sure that your camera is in focus. You want to make sure that that camera is focused. So this is something I feel like GCP should know better. And I think they can do better, because in other parts of this video, they made some incredible catches. Welcome back, Wizard. And Atair, thank you very much for that follow. They made some incredible catches. This video is worth watching, but you got to watch it with tongue firmly planted into cheek, because this was already a sus moment for me. Walker has made it exponentially worse with the possibility that the light actually caught the reflection of a wire. So yeah. Bit of a bitter pill to swallow. Now, a group that I watch on the regular, and I enjoy their stuff. I enjoy their stuff, constantly, is Project Fear. We're going to look at a clip from their recent part 2 investigation of the Satanic Sally House. Okay. Let's have a look at this. Let's have a look at this moment, and I will give bonus points to anyone on my team that is currently in chat that can pick exactly what is going to be triggering me in this moment. So here we go. This is Project Fear at the Satanic Sally House. Here we go.
Back up.
Let's do this digital recording session.
I'm going to have the ball back up on top.
It is nowhere near the ledge. It's definitely a couple inches away.
What the f***? Oh my god! Oh my god! It just fell down the stairs!
What the f*** happened?
Okay. All right. I feel like I need to preface this. I've met these folks, and they're great folks. I love Project Fear. And watching these guys, they are, in my opinion, the most underestimated of paranormal investigators currently doing the rounds because of these shenanigans. Now, keep in mind, these guys are doing a social experiment. They're trying to scare each other, okay? They're trying to scare each other because they want to see if fear elevates paranormal activity. I get that. I get that these guys are going to be going above and beyond what I prefer in paranormal investigations. That being said, they should have known better in this moment. I'm going back to this, and I will explain it to you. I will explain it to you when it happens.
Oh my goodness.
Go back up.
Let's do this digital recording session.
And I will say this too: if these folks had been jerks when I met them at Penhurst Paracon, I probably wouldn't be a fanboy of theirs. But they were nice people. They were super nice people. I dig them, and I love the way they worked a crowd. So there's that. All right, so
I'm going to have the ball back up on top.
Okay, So they got the ball, they got the cat ball. Again, the most affordable piece of paranormal equipment you can get. Seriously. It's like $2 and you get 5 of these things, and they're great. They're absolutely fantastic. But you'll notice it is a good distance from the tip of the stairs. That's fine. Okay. Mac Games really wants me to go full on. You really want to go Furioso on these folks, don't you? Well, easy there. All right, here we go with this one.
It's nowhere near the ledge. It's definitely a couple
Yep.
inches away.
Absolutely. Okay, they walk in here. And then
What the?
okay. And then, of course, pandemonium because you hear the ball go out. What is wrong with this picture? Well, they have some really good cameras here, okay? They're using Canon XA11s. Old Spirits actually bought the cameras that they use. That's how big of a fan we are. So the Canon XA11s are great cameras. But the number one offense that they are making here isn't their reaction. They don't have a camera trained on the ball. All 3 of them, because Dakota is down in the basement, 3 of them are on the top floor. But they're in a separate room. Nothing is watching the ball. It's very soft, Lone. It's very soft, Lone Wolf. It's very soft. But that's the thing. If they really cared about this ball, if they wanted to make sure that it was paranormal and that something was moving the ball of its own accord, they should have had a separate camera trained just on that freaking ball. The ball is camera shy. That could be it, Mac Games. That could be it. But that is what bugs me the most about this moment and why I'm saying these are paranormal investigators behaving badly. Because what they should have been doing is they should have had a small camera, they could have used one of theirs. They could have used not an iPhone, right? Well, no, an iPhone would have worked. Even if it was in total darkness, an iPhone would work because the moment that thing moved, it would have lit the F up. But seriously, a small $50 to $100 infrared camera, point it on there, put it on a little desktop stand, prop it next to it, go. But instead, we have this. And again, I'll play it for you.
Ball back up.
Let's do this digital recording session.
I'm going to have the ball back up on top.
It is nowhere near the ledge. It's definitely a couple inches away.
What?
And that's and of course, madness ensues. So Little King, you're saying that it's nowhere near the ledge. Could have been a small draft. Put a temp sensor on it so they could see if it was a draft. But you don't even have to go that far. If you just had a small camera and you'll see these cameras in our arsenal. Tiny little cameras. I usually have them trained on a cat ball. I have it trained on an EMF reader. I have it trained on something that's pretty much, it's pretty much launch and leave. That's what I call it, a launch and leave gadget. And really, they would know better. They've been doing this a long time. They should know better. They should have gone on ahead, put a small camera on that cat ball, and then go into a separate room because nobody's paying attention to the cat ball. And I feel like that's a real heavy duty flaw in this Sally House investigation. Again, they also picked up some pretty freaky stuff that you cannot explain. That being said, this moment bothered me a lot. So again, things that you should be watching for when you're watching paranormal entertainment, whether it's GCP, whether it's Project Fear, or whether it is this gentleman. All right. I'm going to preface this by saying this because I love this guy. And I want to make that clear. I love this guy. I agree with 85% of his approach to the paranormal. That being said, this episode came as something of a shock to me. All right? And I'm just going to go ahead and play it. And I'll come back to what was bothering me about this whole thing and the deep dive I went into it to understand it better. So here we go. Here we go. And if anybody's going to know better, it's going to be this guy.
Get out. Get the f*** out now.
There's going to be some salty language in this. Just be ready for that.
We see you out here again. I'm not joking. I'll take the head off you.
You say
You
you was
look,
close.
he wouldn't take the heady. I'm not joking.
Swear I just heard a woman's voice.
Well, you did.
Yeah. Adrian, you didn't just make a noise, did you? Where is it?
We couldn't have lost him already. This is a small house.
Adrian. Came in here, right?
Yeah. He came in front of me, just behind me.
Adrian. What the fuck? He's gonna fucking jump out of here. The fuck?
This clip is already giving me anxiety there, baby.
You upstairs.
And Cassie, you might be surprised who this is.
Where are you?
Oh,
Where have you been?
Outside.
Oh.
so who's upstairs? I've just heard somebody walk upstairs.
I've literally just come through the front door, straight up.
And I just heard a woman's voice.
I just heard footsteps cross it. Well, no, he's upstairs, and then he came in through the fucking front door.
I've literally just come in. What you might have heard was I was just looking at our video outside.
His fault.
Okay. So this gentleman right here in the front with the magnificent beard, this is Beardo. And he runs a channel called Beardo Gets Scared. Currently, he is on a paranormal investigation, right? He is one of those gems in the paranormal community. I really dig him because he does not give it two Fs. He tells it exactly the way he sees it, and I appreciate his approach to things. Matter of fact, I have said to him several times that if he ever wants a tour of Gettysburg, I would love to be his guide in that. Now, we're not going to watch the whole video. I will stop it at one point. But as you can see, it's him, his mates. They're doing some urban exploration and some paranormal investigating. The thing to know about both urban exploration and paranormal investigating, they are kissing cousins of each other. The line between the two are paper thin. That being said, here's what happened.
There's nobody in here anyway.
So it's now dark.
Explorers.
It's now dark.
Anyway. He didn't sound happy, whoever he was.
Hello.
Police are on the way.
Alright.
Okay, yeah, we're just filming. We can pack up and go. It's no problem.
Filming. You're breaking and entering.
It was the
door's
front
wide
door was
open.
open.
You're breaking and entering. You're not filming shit.
Okay. This was where I took a step back and I was like, come again? Basically, they're there doing some urban exploration and some filming. But apparently they're there and they didn't have permission. Because the door was open and they do go into it later on. They were on this person's property without their permission. Yeah, Yeah, Val. Now, before we start throwing shade on Beardo, I want to make clear a couple things. We looked this up. We really went deep to look this up. And it's basically, this is from the Urbex Hub. Is urban exploring illegal? The legal aspects of Urbex, or urban exploration, in the UK and Ireland. Now, let's just break this down. Civil trespass is a common law principle in Northern Ireland, the Republic of Ireland, Scotland, England, and Wales. It is a system of law based on judicial decisions and precedents set by previous court cases rather than specific statuses or codes. As a trespass is a matter of civil law, the police have no power to arrest individuals for civil trespass. However, property owners have the right to protect their land and may take legal action against trespassers to claim damages or seek injunctions to prevent further entry. And then they break down Northern Ireland, Scotland, because this is Beardo and he is in the England and Wales area. This is specific. Unlike Scotland, and Scotland, man, they've got some. Let me read Scotland first, and then I'll get here. And I'm going to address what you just said, Matt Gamer, in just a moment. In Scotland, the laws around urban exploration is slightly different from the rest of the United Kingdom. Scotland has a unique legal concept known as right to roam. This allows individuals greater access to certain types of land. The right to roam is governed by the Land Reform Scotland Act of 2003 and allows individuals to access and roam freely on most land and inland water regardless of whether it's privately owned. The Land Reform Act 2003 grants everyone in Scotland the following rights: responsible access, the right to be on most land and inland water as long as it's accessed responsibly and with respect to the landowner, environment, and others. Access rights, the right to walk, cycle, and cross most land and inland water while taking into consideration that houses and gardens are exempt from this right. Recreational activities, the right to engage in recreational activities such as traditional pastimes, including picnicking, camping, birdwatching, while still adhering to responsible access. Keep that in mind, responsible access. 4, respect to landowners. The right to roam does not permit access to buildings or cultivated fields. England and Wales do not have any right to roam. Entering abandoned buildings is a civil trespass in England and Wales. Landowners can take legal action to recover damages if any occur or to get an injunction to stop further visits by the individual. Okay. So, in a nutshell, the rules are very different of trespassing when it comes to what's happening in the UK. All right? That much we have deduced, right? Why I find this so shocking is Beardo has always worked above board. He has always made it clear that when he does his debunking videos, when he does this, these different things, he's doing it because he's going to call it like he sees it. And one of the things that he says many times on his show, Beardo Gets Scared, he basically talks about this really makes it harder for other paranormal investigators to present evidence when you've got people that really go above and beyond and get ridiculous in what they call investigating when it's not. It's basically just the smoke and mirrors. It's just a show, right? Well, honestly, this also comes into play as well against paranormal investigators, and I'm kind of surprised that Beardo didn't have permission to be on this property. And he said, "Oh, the door was open. The door was open." Now, you'll actually see some urban explorers that will say stuff like that. They will say, you know, I've seen some very dodgy videos on YouTube where they go, "Well, I don't see any signs that say no trespassing." If there's a chain link fence and the chain link fence is wide open, quite honestly, that tells me, well, they're not putting up the chain link fence as decoration. They don't want people here. Even if it's busted open, even if it's bent back, that to me is not an open invitation to come on in. Now, remember, here's where I'm going with this, Mac Gamer. We're talking specifically about the UK. We're not talking about the US yet. And the truth about this is that there are a lot of urban explorers and paranormal investigators that basically take that attitude of if the door is open, I'm going in. But I have made this, and I had to drill this into Phil Rossi's head. I've made it a hard and fast rule. No matter where we are, unless we have it in writing, I don't want to make the assumption that we have permission to be on a property. Access includes permission, because there's a fine line between urban explorer, paranormal investigator, and trespasser. Let's talk a little bit about what would happen if that had happened in the United States. So I learned this lesson from my late wife, Natalie. I've learned that there is a different rule when it comes to your property and you're on a farm somewhere. Because the way it was explained to me, because when Natalie's dad passed away, I was helping out with the house, and they opened up this closet, and there were like 5 different pump shotguns, and those were the firearms I saw, and I was kind of taken aback by it. And my then mother-in-law said, "Well, you got to remember, T, the closest police officer is, without any interruptions, an hour and a half away from us. And if you think you have a trespasser on your property and you have to defend it, well, you might have to take the law into your own hands." And when she said it in that context, I was like, oh. And in this video, if you were to watch all of this video, these guys are carrying baseball bats. The ones that are telling they're telling everyone in Beardo's group, yeah, you need to leave, because and this is the thing, I'm kind of stunned that Beardo and his mates were all like, yeah, let's just go in, film, investigate, we're fine. Not if you don't have permission. If you don't have permission, now again, the law is different. But even setting the law aside, it's a liability issue. You want to make sure that you're protecting yourself and your teammates. And I remember seeing, and I wish I could find this video. I'm sure if I did a deep enough search, and I'll see if I can find it for next week's Grim Gazette. I didn't have time to look for it for this issue, but there is a single like a lone paranormal investigator who's in an old house all on his own, and he had his still camera, which was he was live streaming on TikTok his investigation in this house. He had his camera set up in a hallway, and he shared this clip where he heard a voice going, "I need to see your hands. And then the door kicked open and 2 police officers came in. Now, this guy had permission to be there, but the police apparently didn't know that. And when you're doing this kind of thing, when you're doing paranormal investigation, especially when you're doing it in the dead of night, pardon the pun, you want to make sure your I's are dotted and T's are crossed. You want to make sure that everything is above board. You want to definitely make sure that you have permission to be on these properties. And here's the personal story that I will embarrass Phil Rossi with. There was a place that Phil and his wife Tina were surprising us with, and I was all kinds of excited because I'm always good for a paranormal investigation. And we're walking up there towards the property, and Phil said, "Actually, Tina, we need to walk this way." And I was like, "What's going on?" And then Phil said, "We need to be subtle about this." And I didn't quite understand what he meant by subtle, but I followed his lead. And about halfway through this little excursion in this place that was apparently some kind of abandoned asylum, I come to find out from Phil, we didn't have permission to be there. In fact, we had to make sure that we stayed out of sight of the main drive because this place was owned by the local police department. I waited until we got home. And I sat down and I said, we are never doing that again. Because we had about 4 hours of footage. I couldn't do a thing with it. Because if I put it online, that's proof that we had been somewhere where we didn't have permission. And it was a place that was cut off. Needless to say, it was a very tense conversation I had with both Phil and Tina. I was angry. Very angry. And to his credit, he has never done that again. And when people say, "Oh yeah, you would have been gunned down in the United States," well, yeah, because if the police can't get to a remote spot, less is more reliant on the police and more is reliant on the landowner. Which is why I really do feel if you want to get into paranormal investigation, you really need to have all the paperwork taken care of and you need to have permission to get into a place. Does that make impulsive outings a little more difficult? Yes. Yes, it does. But to me, the trade-off is worth it. Because if something does go wrong, you've got a paper trail. And needless to say, I'm a little disappointed and a little shocked that Beardo and his mates said, yeah, we're good. I mean, I don't care if the door was missing. I would want to make sure, I would really want to make sure that everything was above board. Because not only does that look bad for you and your group, that also looks bad for other paranormal investigators. And if you watch this video, it's clear that these guys, and they had, like I said, they had baseball bats with them. It's clear that they have dealt with people just helping themselves to the property. We haven't even gotten into the way that having all the paperwork taken care of not only protects you, but also protects you and your team from anything that might happen while you're on said property. Because you don't know the condition of that property. I've lost count how many times we have driven by abandoned buildings, abandoned barns, all these different places in Virginia. And Phil's like, oh, if we could just get a crack at that. Yeah, provided we had the paperwork, we had the permissions in place, and we could go. And we also would know where would be safe and where would not be safe. At Wayside Inn, for example, we were paying guests. And they were like, yeah, sure, go on ahead. Go anywhere that's open. If it's locked, you can't go in there. Makes sense? Sure, that's fine. But yes, there is a fine line. There's a very fine line between urban explorer, paranormal investigator, and trespasser. And you have to be careful about that sort of thing. And you're absolutely right, Aurelis. You're absolutely right. Maybe that was what was going through his mind. That and he does, and I will, and again, I do want to make sure it's clear. Beardo does in his description of this video. He makes it clear, don't go here. People are not welcome on this property. But wow, what a rough way to find out. In the UK, the people with the baseball bats as weapons, even to defend their property, would be arrested in this situation. Now that I was unaware of. And that's what I'm saying. I know that I understand. I understand it. It's there are different laws when it comes to trespassing and and personal property, personal space. I get that. I totally get that. But it's less about the law and more about just making sure that you and your team are protected. Frankly, having permission also gives the property owner a heads up that people will be there. Exactly. The situation will be stressful for the people thinking they're getting robbed too. And that's what I mean, Lone Wolf. And Beardo made it clear to the people there. He made it very clear to the people there. Hey, we're just filming. We didn't break in. We didn't do anything. And I'm sure they didn't. Beardo's a good guy. He is, when you watch his videos, when you watch his channel, absolutely. He is as straight up and as honest as they come. And I dig that about him. But wow, I was just taken aback that, because the moment they were like, no, you're not filming, you're not doing squat. I was like, who? He's not supposed to. He doesn't have permission. They didn't know he was going to be there. That really did take me back. It took me. It was like a punch to the chest, because that sort of behavior it really does reflect poorly when other paranormal investigators want to be able to investigate a property. So yeah, this is something I thought Beardo should know better. And if I'm wrong, if I'm mistaken, first off, Beardo, please don't hurt me. You could probably take me out. You could probably take me out in 2 moves. I totally get that. But I would not want anything bad to happen to Beardo. Paranormal investigation is not worth risking your life over. Seriously, it's just not. And when it is not uncommon. It is not uncommon. There was a story I couldn't find, but there was apparently somebody. And if I can find it, I'll see if I can get it into the next Grim Gazette. There was some story about a woman that helped herself to a property, and the floor gave way, and she was unalived. Whatever the Utes are saying on TikTok for, yeah, that was the last thing she ever did. That was the last thing she ever did on this mortal coil. There's good reason less people paranormal investigate do that over here. I loved in Scotland there's that right to roam like everywhere. Unsubscribe from life. That's my favorite. Unsubscribe from life. Yeah. You do. You have to be careful. You have to be careful, especially because most people tend to investigate at night. So, you got to take precautions of all kinds. So that will wrap up issue 13, Lucky 13 of the Grim Gazette. For those of you who are new to this, thank you very much. I hope you enjoyed it. This is going to happen every Tuesday night on my stream. It's happening tonight on Thursday because I had a bad migraine. So just moved it out a couple nights. But usually starting at 6 on Tuesday nights, we do this thing. Again, you can always go to my Discord, or you can go to the comments on the YouTube edited replay, and you can go on ahead and you can drop in a link to a paranormal article, paranormal TikTok, a YouTube short, or just some weird news, and I'll see if I can bring this in. Also, if you've got something you want me to do a deep dive on in the paranormal sphere, by all means, feel free to bring it up. I will see if I can't do a deep dive on it for you. And for again, those of you who are curious about the paranormal, remember, not only do we have the Grim Gazette, but on Thursday nights we do a footage review stream where I sit down, and while I'm reviewing footage, I also take your questions. And that is both multi-streamed on Twitch and on YouTube. And I try to be, for the Doug fans in the chat right now, I try to be as accommodating to both my Twitch chat as well as my YouTube chat. Okay, I'm just throwing that out there. All right, everyone. Thank you all so much for being here. Until next week, stay weird.